Can we start?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I will start here, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, good morning, Dr. Anusha, and good morning to the participants who are watching this live session. So, welcome to an eye-opening session on microplastics, the biggest threat. In today's world, microplastics have emerged as a pervasive and concerning environmental issue. These tiny plastic particles, often invisible to the naked eye, are causing significant harm to our planet and wildlife and even human health. In this session, we will deep into the world of microplastics and exploring their origins and distribution and their far-reaching impact on our ecosystems. So, Dr. Anusha, an expert in the field of, will guide us through the science behind microplastics, challenges they present, and the urgent need for solutions. We will unravel the complexity of this issue, shedding light on how microplastics find their way into our oceans, food chains, and ultimately our bodies. Through engaging discussions and the latest research findings, you will gain a comprehensive understanding of the threats posed by microplastics and what can do to mitigate them. Before we start Dr. Anusha's session, I would like to give some short introduction about her. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are honored to introduce our distinguished speaker, Dr. Anusha, a luminary in the field of civil engineering with a reputation for erudition and adroitness. Dr. Anusha currently holds the prestigious position of professor and head of the Department of Civil Engineering at KPR Institute of Engineering and Technology. Her remarkable journey in the realm of civil engineering has been marked by significant contributions across a multitude of critical domains. Dr. Anusha's expertise spans far and wide, encompassing crucial areas such as water and wastewater treatment and waste management and industrial water treatment. Her profound understanding of the intricacies within civil engineering has propelled her into the realm of distinguished figures within these fields. But Dr. Anusha does not stop at excellence in her primary role. She wears multiple hats, serving in various capacities, including head of the department and head of the Women Empowerment Cell and convener of Industry Institute Partnerships Cell and Nodal Center Coordinator, Building Works Committee, and Accreditation Steering Committee. She exemplifies versatile leadership. With over 16 years of experience in education and research, Dr. Anusha is not just academic, but also an active member of 15 professional bodies. Her commitment to professional growth is commendable, making her role model for the aspiring individuals in her field. Her dynamic process has earned her numerous accolades, including the Young Achiever Award. Woman Achiever Award is a Remarkable Woman Award and the Inspiring Head of the Department Award. Her achievements are not just personal tributes but source of inspiration for others. At the end, I would like to introduce to the motto of Dr. Anusha, empowering through education and innovation. So I would like to hand over the session to Dr. Anusha and also thanks a lot for joining us today and over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the brief introduction. Now let's go directly into the topic. Yeah, as introduced, so I'm Anusha from KPR Institute of Engineering and Technology, Coimbatore, and I'm currently heading the Department of Civil Engineering here. And the topic that I've chosen today is microplastics because this particular topic is not shown everywhere. The awareness for this microplastics is very less now. So I just thought of introducing this topic to the public, to the students or to the technical community, so that they'll be getting some awareness about the microplastics and the effects of microplastics. So we'll see first what is microplastic and how it is originated and what are the sources of microplastic. And then we'll see about how to eradicate or how to avoid the evolution of microplastics. So, what are microplastics? I hope this picture clearly explains what is microplastics. So, it is extremely small pieces of plastic debris. Debris is nothing but waste in the environment resulting from the disposal and breakdown of consumer products and industrial waste. This is nothing but the waste product that is emerging out of waste. It might be industrial waste or also domestic waste, that is the household waste. So these particles will contain the size which is less than 5 millimeter, that is 0.2 inches will be its starting size. So it is very minute, and so it is very difficult to see through a naked eye. So these microplastics are originated by the generation of waste. Actual waste will lead to the microplastic waste also. So this is not a new type of waste. This is generated from somewhere in a different process. It is generated just because of the day-to-day activities. So these are some of the sources of microplastics. So synthetic textiles, city dust, tires, road markings, personal care products, engineered plastic pellets. Plastic pellets is nothing but small sized particles. Pellets means small sized particles. So small plastic pellets are these are some of the sources. We'll go into one by one and see how these sources originate microplastics and how these microplastics are detrimental to human and aquatic life. So where do microplastics come? As we saw in the previous slide, see here in the chart, it clearly explains that beauty products, all our beauty products contain at least 2% of microplastics. And marine coatings, the coatings that we are doing on boats and ships or some sheds will contain definitely 3.7% of microplastics. And whereas the road markings that we are doing, the yellow marking and the white marking that we are doing on the road contain 7% of microplastics. It dust obviously contains 24% of microplastics, and plastic needles, that is the plastic particles that are coming out from the plastic manufacturing units, contains less than 1% of microplastics, and especially clothing and textiles contain 35% of microplastics, which is unbelievable. We will definitely believe if it is said that the microplastics are originated from plastic manufacturing units, but we won't believe that microplastics are originated from clothing and textiles, because this clothing and textile industry produces more and more number of microplastics to the world. And the tires definitely, when they are worn out, they produce 28% of microplastics. So this will definitely be an alarming situation, those who do not know about the microplastic and those who are not aware about the microplastics origination. So microplastics are definitely, and it is divided into two different particles, such as primary microplastics and secondary sources, primary and secondary. So it depends on the particles originated manufactured at the sites. So microplastic, it is called a primary microplastic if the microplastics are manufactured with a small size. So secondary is that it will not be manufactured in the small size, but it will be divided into microplastics. It will be cut down into different sizes, and thus microplastics is originating. See here, the primary source of clothing industry, fishing industry, shipping line, air blasting, wastewater treatment plant, plastic production, cosmetic industry. So these industries produce directly microplastics. So this plastic fragmentation by mechanical friction, degradation by microorganism, plastic breakdown of by waves, fragmentation by UV, these are not produced directly, but these are the subsources or subdividends of various processes. So the primary source is the direct source, and secondary source is subdividend source. So here, going into detail, this clothing industry produce more, as we saw earlier. Fishing industry, they produce small plastics in the fishing net, and shipping line, they produce directly. Air blastings is being done in many industries, and wastewater treatment plant has some beads in it to treat, or some microfibers in it to treat water or to treat the pollutants. So it is produced directly. And plastic production, when it is cut down, plastic is being cut down, or when it is turned into some other process, the plastic is produced. And cosmetic industries, so you would have seen the face wash and some other products containing even the toothpaste contain the micro beads, which is produced directly, and so thus it comes under the primary source. But whereas in secondary source, this plastic fragmentation is caused by mechanical friction. So when two plastics are brought together for some any action, it might produce small microplastic particle dust. And if some microorganism act on some other particle, then it will degrade the organic content, and thus it will lead to some of the microplastic production. and plastic breakdown by waves. This is when ships and boats are produced in the sea. When the waves hit the ships or boats, then definitely the paint that contains or the paint that is given as an outline for the ship, it will produce some microparticles, and thus it leads to microplastics. And directly through sunlight or some UV action, this fragmentation of plastic takes place. So hope you would have heard that you should not keep a plastic container with water in your car and you keep the car in sunlight for 2 to 3 hours. Definitely, it contains some carcinogenic materials that will cause cancer. So it is because of the degradation of the plastic material that is contained, that is manufactured along with the plastic manufacturing. So when it reacts with sunlight, it forms into smaller particles which cannot be seen through a naked eye, and it mixes with the water. And when we are consuming the water, it will lead to some cancer like diseases. So that's the plastic is being fragmented by sunlight and UV radiations. So these are the major source. It is classified majorly into two different sources as primary and secondary source. And coming into personal care, we'll see one by one. So personal care products, as I already said, so this is also a major contributor for microplastic, and it is also called a secondary microplastic contributor. So microbeads is nothing but in the picture you could have seen, and I hope you are seeing this small particles. These particles, why they are producing these particles in your face wash or some creams, because these particles can with the dust particles present in your skin, and they tend to remove the dust particles from your skin, and they give a clean and shining face to you. So they are introducing all these micro beads, and these beads are definitely made of plastics and chemicals. So these beads, when mixed with water, when you wash your face, when it is mixed with piped water and when it goes to the wastewater or to the sea or water, definitely it will be a major threat for all of us. So, similar to the face wash, facial scrubs, some soaps also contain microplastics, and even microplastics. So, this microplastic categories regarding the personal care products itself, see how it is being classified. Face powders contains 12% of microplastic, mascara contains 25%, highlighters that we use contain 19%. The foundation that we use contain 20% of microplastics, and lipsticks, lip glosses contain 24%. So have you ever imagined thus that we are producing more and more of microplastics to the environment, and we are spoiling the nature by using all these personal care products? So all the personal care products contain chemicals and microbeads in it. And so if we stop using these personal care products and you start using a natural products, definitely we can reduce the generation of microplastic to some extent. And there is also a concern in this, because personal care products, definitely the marketed personal care products are marketed as it contains some chemicals, it contains some, the label has those details. But whereas some products are being manufactured and sold as organic products and natural products, but if you see the ingredients in it, definitely it will also contain some chemicals. So it is highly important to choose the particular type of product that is actually manufactured naturally. So they might claim that they are naturally produced, but it will definitely contain some chemicals in it. Even the toothpaste or soaps that they're using, they will be claiming it as natural product, just made up of this and that. But what they do is they contain natural product in it, but whereas they mix some other products, suppose neem products, they'll say neem's face wash, neem soap, definitely it might contain a particular or small part of neem in it, but major part will be of plastic beads or some chemicals. So don't get attracted by the name, nature or organic. See the ingredients that are being used and check the manufacturing process of those products, so that you can avoid the usage of plastic products. And these plastics, no, rather than you are mixing and creating a pollution, it will also harm you. Suppose you will be inhaling something, you will be some amount of water will get into your mouth, and similarly small particles will get into your skin, get into your eyes, get into your mouth and nose, and it will definitely harm you also. So please avoid using this type of microplastics. And here microplastics from cosmetics to food. So as the picture says, so microplastics, any type of plastic fragment which is less than 5 mm in length. So length should be less than 5 mm to be claimed as microplastics. So personal care products, and which is globally available, does definitely contain at least 2% of microplastics on the whole. And how this microplastic from cosmetics reaches to our food and how it affects the human beings is that like this. See, you are using your face wash in your sink, and through the sink hole it reaches the outlet or something, and it is reaching the river, and the fish consumes the river water, and so it gets accumulated in the fish, and then this fish is being consumed by human. It reaches you through this process. So it definitely will reach you in some other form. So start avoiding microplastics. So next one is a synthetic textiles. So 35% of microplastics from textile enters into ocean. So these are different categories. So see, as you wash the textiles, how the textiles affect is, so you can see the fragments here, less than 10 micrometer. See, when you cut the cloth, when you manufacture the cloth, you'll be having cutting process, you'll be having a dipping process, you'll be dipping in some chemicals, or you'll be dipping in some water. So the water will contain small threads of microplastics. And when you're cutting it down, the cut particles will contain some threads. So these are accumulated together. See, the acrylic, polyester carbon blend, all these things have more number of microplastics, and thus the microplastics from textile industries claims to be more dangerous. So this is a general process of microplastics. So textile fibers, and it is directly sent to the through the chemical action. It is sent to the textile thing, and then it is released to the government and effluent. And from the effluent, it definitely enters the water bodies, and this water bodies will lead to the aquatic contamination. And from this contaminated water, it is being consumed, or the human is being exposed through this contamination. So these are the process through which a textile processing industry is contributing to more microfibers or microplastics. Okay, so these are the chemical process that is being carried out for textile processing industry, which leads to microplastics. And this also is a shocking news that you will know. About one third of microplastic pollution in the ocean comes from microfibers shed from synthetic materials such as polyester, rayon, acrylic, nylon, cotton, etc. that is being used in washing machines. So about 7 lakh microfibers are shed per average size of load of laundry. So one laundry size will produce 7 lakh microfibers, which reaches ocean or sea or any river. So when the water, I mean the uh, textile products or cloths are being crushed, and they are when they are being agitated for washing, it produces more amount of microplastics. And next one is the dust particle. So dust particles, so as we say, cloth, personal care product, washing machine particles, your house furniture, when the house furniture starts burning out, when your bed sheets or when your pillows starts burning out, it will produce small particles. And rubber tires, when they are eroded, when they are when you are having a fast riding, or if you put a sudden brake, definitely the tire will have some wear and tear. That wear and tear will produce and create some dust particles on the road, and which will also be polluted through air. And emissions from textile industry and from other industry, and city dust that is normally arising from the city because of the mud particles, because of the particles from the vehicles, and also from the atmospheric pollution. So these are the pollutants, and there are two categories like indoor pollutants and outdoor pollutants. So these particles are major pollutants, and this is not limited with these particles. There are many more particles which contribute to the microplastics, which is very rarely known by the public. So we don't know that the furniture produces. You are breathing the air that contains more number of particles because of the worn out vehicles, worn out this cardboards in your, the worn out thermocols in your home. All these things will definitely taken by your nose to the lung, and it will definitely lead to toxicity. See here, you can see. So there is suspension, the disposition by the, these are the vehicles and some chimneys, some industries. So it is being transported to the wind. Through the wind, it is again taken back to the ground. And here it is being inhaled by the human there. And again, it is taken back to the sea also. So the pollutants that is being crossed by a daily day-to-day activities will be taken back to the wind. From wind, it is taken back to the ground and also to the water. So plastic everywhere. So we know that plastic is very harmful. It cannot be degraded. we might think so. It might take 20 or 30 years for degradation. So we are asked to eradicate plastic, but we might not be aware of the topic microplastics. So we may not be aware of the uh, problems caused by the microplastics. So now, in recent generation, people started inhaling microplastics along with the dust particles that we are inhaling. So microplastics were found more to be in the urban areas than rural areas, and indoor air is found to be more polluted than outdoor air. This is surprising, no? So we say pollution is everywhere in the outside air, so it is safe inside. But it is said that microplastic is polluted. Microplastic pollutants are more inside the home. The products that we are using, the proper action that we are not taking against the waste materials that we contain, that are contained or that we have in the household, will lead to more number of indoor pollutions. So these are the possible how health impacts due to micropollutants. MP is nothing but microplastics or micropollutants. So respiratory lessons, chronic bronchitis, lung disease, carcinogen, immune disease, many diseases are being caused because it goes directly into the lungs and gets deposited in the lungs, and so it causes many severe injuries in human. So microplastics is definitely a hidden menace in the air. So first, what happens is the plastic and synthetic materials are broken down into tiny particles through abrasive. Abrasion is nothing but when one product reacts with the other product, the process is called abrasion. So when a plastic is, suppose you can take an example of tire on the road. So it creates abrasion, so which leads to more shedding of microplastics, and also because of the sunlight, water and wind, these microplastics are produced, and then these particles can settle. This is the second point: can settle as dust and can be flushed into waterways or oceans, endangering sea life. It also endangers the sea life. Aquatic life is being spoiled. More number of aquatic animals die because of the microplastics in it, but because they are so small and high, many becomes airborne. So because of the smaller size particles, rather than settle down, they will float in the air. They won't settle down. Even if they settle down, we can easily clean it by a normal broom or normal vacuum cleaner. But since it is very tiny, it won't settle down. And then food contamination. These are inhaled directly through us, through our nose, or it flies and sits on the roadside food that is being produced. Not even an open food, it can also fall on the vegetables and fruits in the street side or in the food. And this food contaminants will definitely, when consumed, will take in the microplastics inside your body. And the fish or the aquatic animals that we are uh, eating, consuming, will also lead to the microplastics. So it affects, not only affects the lungs, it also affects the kids, kidneys and intestines. And it's also said that it affects the placenta. Placenta is nothing but the fluid that is present in the fetus. It is the pregnant woman will carry a baby, and this microplastic goes into the placenta and it also affects the newborn. So it is a major threat now. See, these are some of the pictures showing how the microplastics are being shed down. These road cones are stoppage cones, the tires, the clothing, the plastics that we're using in the food, carpets and furnitures. All these things produce microplastics, and all these things, see this packaging, the bottles, etc., will lead to dangerous effects in human. So these are some of the microplastics present in water. So industrial activities, fishing activities. So thus all the plastic litters, littering is nothing but the waste products, waste materials. So through humans and through fishing activities, so this fish or aquatic animals is being spoiled, and they ingest the microplastic, and when these fishes are ingested by or consumed by human, it will lead to a major threat or major danger to the human. So this is also another shocking news that you would be hearing. So we think that the bottled water is clean. Yeah, it might be clean. So instead of taking up the tap water directly, or instead of consuming a water from a tea shop or something, you feel good that if you consume, pay and take water bottle, the water will be good. It might be good, but there is a process that is being taken place in the water bottles that we consume. That is, see here, 93% of bottled water tested shows signs of microplastic contamination. Isn't it a shocking news for all of you? So 93 bottled water. Bottled water contains, 93% of bottled water contains microplastics. So it is definitely an alarming thing to us, isn't it? 10.4 particles per liter, bigger than 100 microns, is there in water bottles. So 10.4 is a particle number. The size is less than 100 micron. So it will not be visible to a natural eye. So 314 particles per liter, smaller than 100 microns. So this is bigger than, this is smaller than, which are probably plastic. Mostly plastic materials. These are found in the bottled or canned water, which is so called treated or purified water. See how it comes into the water. This is a picture showing it. The cap that we are using, when we are opening the cap, see the microplastics, how it is being originated there. And bottleneck is nothing but this one and this one. See here, through this bottleneck, when it is observed through a scanning electron microscope, it is an electron microscope which is scan. See, these microparticles are generated. And when we are squeezing is that when we are crushing or when the bottle is being thrown down, it is being brought in a big container vehicle from the source, no? So these cans are being pushed and pulled, and they are being done with so many processes. These processes will definitely contain. So if it is 1 minute and if it is 10 minutes, see how the microplastics are being lined in the side of the water bottle. So these are due to the mechanical stresses caused in the water bottles. So microplastics in drinking water. So as we saw earlier, definitely scientists tested over the water samples for more than a dozen nations and found 83% of the samples contains plastic. This is a normal drinking water other than canned water. So one study examined the water inside 259 bottled water sold in several countries and found that 93% of them are contaminated microplastics. So microplastics in different forms are present in almost all water systems in the world, be they streams, river, lakes, ocean, everywhere microplastics are present. There are no regulatory limits on the levels of microplastics in bottled water. So the limit has to be set. Bottled water can contain this number of microplastics. So actually it should not contain, but there is no limit stating it. So it is not being bothered by the bottled water manufacturing units. At least 9 lakh or 90 lakh plastic microfibers are released into the environment every time you wash synthetic cloths in the laundry. Synthetic cloths are made of plastic based materials like polyester, rayon, and acrylic. A bottleless water cooler with advanced filtration can reduce microplastics in drinking water. So, bottleless water cooler, if you're producing it, it can reduce the microplastics to some extent and keep thousands of single-use plastic bottles out of the environment every year. So rather than using a single use, having a small filtration unit without bottle can save thousands of microplastics being produced. So how we are consuming these microplastics? These are the ways that we are consuming the microplastic. As we already say, see, bottled water contains more than 93%, and where that we are consuming, air contains tap water, seafood, sugar, table salt, even honey, which we claim it as a pure thing. It contains zero point 0.1 per gram per liter of microplastics. So microplastics in food. How we consume microplastics. It is from the plastic waste, it is from the beauty care items, fish, sea, drinking water. And when these particles, and when we are watering the plants from the water that is being polluted with microplastics, definitely the root particles will consume some of the microplastics and it will be produced through the vegetables or fruit that is being produced, and thus it contains. And the other way, the manufactured vegetables, or the produced vegetables or fruits, when the air pollutants cause or deposit the microplastics in it, when it is not washed or treated properly before consuming, and the plastic packages that we use, this is a major threat. We don't know this thing. The plastic cups, plastic plate, plastic spoons that we are eating has more number of microplastics, and that they are not properly being cut and they are not properly being manufactured. So these contains the microplastics like this, and so it leads to health problems, liver toxicity, digestive toxicity, reproductive toxicity, immune problem, and definitely it will also lead to cancer. So sources of microplastics we have already seen, but anyway, since it was a pictorial form, I just wanted to show it in a pictorial form. From domestic source, domestic is the source that we are using because of our household, because of the laundry, because of the food that we are consuming, because of the cloth that we are using, because of the personal care products, and because of the urban activities like street cleaning and street washing, littering of waste, because of some industrial process manufacturing units, all these are the sources of microplastic contamination. So the treatment plants, from the treatment plants, the sludge is being produced. Sludge is nothing but the waste, solid waste that we are getting after treating the water. After treatment process, from filtration unit, we'll be taking out the waste material from the filtration only. That is called as a sludge. That sludge will contain microplastics in it, and thus sludge is produced or it is being used by the farmers as a manure. So those manures will definitely spoil the food chain. So it will get into the food particles that is being produced, and it causes pollution due to microplastics. And this is a picture showing in the micropollutants because of the dust. So it is also a very similar picture, similar to the previous ones. So textile, polymers, manufacturing unit, synthetic textiles, and treated wastewater, even in storm. What is the storm runoff? Is nothing but the runoff that is because of the rainwater. When it is raining, the excess water that is being flown in the streets, it is called as storm water. So when the excess water is being flown, some water will get penetrated into the earth, rainwater, and some water will be trapped by the sides of the roads and it will be taken to the river or the sea. So those storm water, when it is passing by the roads, it will wash all the microplastics, all the dust particles, and it will get into the river or water, any source of water. So the storm water will also storm water runoff. It is called as storm water runoff. The runoff also contains water and plastic degradation and trash disposal and dust settling and everything, each and everything, point degradation, small fishing particles that we are using, and some marine accidents also. So these are the sources of the microplastics and how it is conveyed. So I told stormwater, no? So this is a coastal area, this is a stormwater. Imagine this as a street. This is a big street or big city street. So this is a stormwater lane. So this is a road, and the water, when it is raining, so this raining will lead to the stormwater, and this stormwater will be led to the ocean or thing. So the stormwater, when it is passing through a landfill is nothing but a place where the solid waste is being disposed. The landfill will contain some microplastics, and when the water is being passed through the landfill, and when the water is being passed through the uh, place where the sludges or biosolids are applied, and when the water is passed through the roadway where the tire is weared out, and when the water is passed through the wastewater treatment plant overflow, and when the water is passing through the plastic trash decomposition unit, and when it passes through the wind, so all the stormwater will contain or will get the microplastic mixed it off, and thus it is deposited on the river bank. Some of them are deposited on the river bank, and most of them are sent into the ocean. And thus, at the bottom of the ocean, bottom of the river, definitely the pollutants are getting accumulated. And this also we saw it already. This is in the pictorial form. We eat, we breathe, and we drink microplastics. This is a ugly truth. And these are some of the products that cause microproducts. We use balloons for our birthday parties. We use and we take it as a privilege of using cutlery, straws, stirrers, and chips packets. When we cut the chips packet, when we cut the sachets of shampoo, a sachet, the small particles, no, it won't get filtered in the wastewater treatment plant. It won't get trapped in the screens that we are producing on the water or wastewater treatment plant. The cigarette butts, the chocolate wraps, and the food containers, cups and lids, the tin containers, lids container, uh, the napkins that we are using, the bags that we are using, and the cotton buds. So these are the very common things that we are using in day-to-day life, which will lead to the microplastic pollutants. So if we minimize the usage of these particles, definitely we can be a source who is ready to reduce the microplastic. So these are some of the day-to-day used microplastics: nail polish, water bottle, toys, gum, acrylic paints, cutting boards. Most of you might be using plastic cutting boards. When you cut the vegetables on it, you are also consuming the microplastics in the cutting boards. Balloons, this all you know, no? When the balloon is being bursted out, definitely small particles will be spreading over there, and these small particles are leading to major particles. So, and finally, coming to how to avoid microplastics, what we can do, these are small things, but we can do: drink filter tap water, avoid single usage packaging, carry some of the utensils with you, use steel utensils, and store your food in metal or glass containers. Avoid microwaving plastics or microwavable meals. Limit your intake of seafood, especially shellfish contains more microplastics in it. Eat more fresh and whole food rather than pasteurized or preserved foods. That's all from my side about microplastics. And definitely more treatment methods are being evolving. There are micro motors that are being produced to avoid or to remove the micropollutants or microplastics, but it is all in the research process. Normal filtration techniques or the normal treatment techniques that we are using doesn't eradicate the entire microplastics in life. So it is better to uh, reduce in the source itself rather than waiting for the treatment units that is being taken place. So start using recyclable products, start using the metal or glass or steel products so that you can reduce more microplastics. Thank you. Thank you for your patience listening, and thank you for the opportunity provided by Master. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your presentation. Ma'am, I have some questions here.
Yeah.
How can we improve the detection and monitoring of microplastics in our environment, including water bodies and soil?
Yeah. See, as I said, you can have some filter mechanisms and you can have some air pollution techniques also. But since the particle size is very small, what we can use is we can use some techniques that are used to accumulate all the particle size together. So rather than using the small particles, you can accumulate smaller into bigger particles. So small particles, when they are used with some process and then they are combined into a bigger particle, it can be removed easily. So that method is also being carried out. Research is going on to remove. So small size filters if you are using, you can eradicate some microplastics.
Yeah, okay. What are the potential long-term health effects of microplastics exposure in humans, and how can we mitigate this risk?
Yeah, mitigating is, as I said, we should stop from the source. We should avoid using the small particle containing food products or some other products. So if we avoid the plastic contaminants, plastic usages, we can minimize. That is a mitigation measure, and that is a source reduction measure. And mitigation measure is definitely switching it over to the, as I said, glass or steel or some other products. And what was the first question that you asked? Affect health effect, no? Health effect, deadly diseases like cancer is being caused because of it, asthma, and even the placenta, as I said, the small babies that is inside the mother's womb, it is also being, it gets into the uterus of the mothers when they are consuming it, and it reaches the baby through the placenta. So these are some of the deadly disease, a very dangerous disease, and mostly the asthma is being caused because of this microplastics. We say because of dust, because these dust contains microplastics, it is being caused.
Yeah, okay, thank you, ma'am. What advanced technologies can be developed to efficiently remove microplastics from oceans and other ecosystems?
Yeah, ocean or any river body or water body, as I said in the previous questions, the filtration is the only process. And there is an advanced technique called micromotors. These micromotors, they have some products containing, it is a patented thing by some researcher. I have gone through the research and I came to know that these particles have the capability of attracting. So if it is a metal, we can attract through a magnet. Similarly, for attracting the plastic materials from the atmosphere, there is a technique called micromotor technique. And through that technique, you can attract some of the products into it. And from that attraction, you can remove the pollutants. So that might be a cost, and definitely research is going on. Still, a solid product or solid research has not been find out. So only we started promoting the effects of microplastics so that we stop from the source. So if the filtration technique is available now, it will be very easy for us to use the microplastics and then get it filtered, and so that no one is getting affected. Since the filtration technique or some mitigation technique is not available right now, we should start from the source.
Yeah, okay, thank you, ma'am. What are the future policy and regulatory changes needed to address the microplastics issue effectively on a global scale?
Yeah, on a global, actually, some of the slides that I showed was on a global scale.
Yeah.
Uh, More concentration was given on some of the different particle sizes, but not on microplastics. So as I said, plastic water bottles was more microplastics. So there should be some regulation of for using the plastic water bottles and for the manufacturing unit of plastic water bottles, and also some cutlery units. We are avoiding microplastics and we are using some of the paper units or something. But there also we are using some gums and some of the acrylic materials to paste it out to make it into a mold. So there must be some regulations, and WHO is looking on it, and there should be some regulations that is being produced in each and every state, and all the manufacturing and factories should be given some rule. And the rule is, I think, the rule is on the way, and we will soon receive it. And if we follow it strictly, so now plastic is being banned even in our country. So, but even then, we are using plastics. So, when it is strictly banned, and when some rules are implicated, and when some strong fine or something is being exposed or imposed, definitely this microplastics can be reduced. Any other questions?
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry for the some network issue.
Yeah.
So, ma'am, how can we enhance the public awareness about the impact of microplastics and encourage the sustainable consumption and disposal practices?
Yeah. See, construction is a different part actually. This doesn't come into construction. This microplastic awareness should be given from school. So even I plan to go to schools, and the kids know they are the future adults. So from their childhood, if they are being, they will tell their parents that we should not use this, contains this much. So we can't educate the adult as we educate the students. So kids should be approached starting from the first grade students. If you're giving small awareness, if you show some pictures, you can say this is producing this, and because of this, if you're consuming this. So we should start from schools and colleges. We should start some public awareness. So the municipal officers or some town planning officers or some environmental pollution control boards, they should conduct some awareness camps. They should conduct some competitions among the public so that it reaches to a maximum effect.
Yeah, okay. Ma'am, how can we improve the understanding and regulation of a microplastic in the food chain to ensure the food safety?
Yeah, food safety officers, they do conduct audits, or they do visit the thing, but without microscope you can't identify the microplastics. So just by observing in your natural eye, we can't say that this food contains microplastics. Maybe if some regulations are being imposed even on the food manufacturing industry, then it will be good for them to avoid. So we know that the food should be kept closed in every shop. They are exposing it everywhere to the atmosphere, and we say only dust, only dust, or only some small papers are there. So we are eradicating it, but we don't know that some microplastics are inside the food particles. It will go inside our lungs and kidneys. So the open display of the food particles can be avoided, and the organic vegetables or organic thing, which is the watering of, mainly it goes into the farming. When we are doing farming, most of the farmers doesn't use the water because the water scarcity is there. They use recycled water. So recycled water also contains microplastics. So this awareness should be given to the farmers. So if we use microplastic contained water as water component for the farming, it will also, the vegetables will also contain microplastics. So these things should be given to the farmers, and also to the uh, food producing industries, and also to the vendors, retailers or the vendors of food industry that are distributing the foods.
Yeah, okay. Ma'am, how can countries and organizations collaborate at a global scale to address the transboundary nature of the microplastic issue?
Can you repeat the question, please? How can we?
How can countries and organizations collaborate on a global scale to address the transboundary nature of the microplastic issue.
Yeah, there are many research organizations like DST, DRDO. There are many, many research organizations which give funding for research. So this can be collaborated only through research, I suppose. One is through what can I say, through dissemination through the public. To the public, we can create some awareness sessions, and we can disseminate. And another one is by promoting research. So cross country or cross boundary relationship can be developed through the research. So we can join. There might be some researchers working on the same topic in some other country, and our people and those people can combine together and apply for some research project. And definitely, government should be able to fund those projects. If the government is ready to fund the projects, if the pollution control board is ready, if environmental protection agency is ready to fund, so definitely this interrelationship between the countries can gain suitable thing to eradicate the microplastics.
Yeah, ma'am, this is my final question. So, what novel research methods and technologies will emerge to study microplastics more comprehensively?
Yeah, that is actually, as I said, this research method is yet to evolve. Actually, we started using earlier. We used to use some sand filtration for filtering some products. We used sand. Then we started using activated carbon as a filter material, and later on we started using some microfibers. So microfiltration unit is being carried out, and now we are moved to nanofiltration. So nanofiltration, the particle size will be very small so that it can capture most of the particles. So combined with nanofiltration, we should find some technique which is being used to avoid the microplastic entering into the other treatment process. So the research is going on. We should use some filter technique to it, and source reduction should also be a problem. Will also be a reason to eradicate, and filtration at the earlier part before going into the treatment plant. If we are filtering it in the earlier part, definitely we can find research is going on.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the answers. The answers are very useful. I hope the access and that the participants can understand about that. So, ma'am, finally, so ladies and gentlemen, as we draw this enlightening session to a close, I have the privilege of delivering the vote of thanks, and it is with immense gratitude that I do so. So, first and foremost, I would like to express our heartfelt thanks to our esteemed speaker, Dr. G. Anusha. Your insights and expertise and passion for the field of civil engineering have left an indelible mark on all of us. We are truly grateful for the knowledge and inspiration you have shared today. I would also like to extend our thanks to the participants whose active engagement and insightful questions made this session truly dynamic. Your presence and curiosity are a testament to your commitment to learning and understanding the critical topics like microplastics. In closing, I invite to carry forward the insights gained today and continue to the dialogue on microplastics, making a positive impact in your respective spheres. Let's channel this knowledge into action and contribute to a cleaner and healthier planet. So once again, thank you, Dr. Gianusha, and thank you to all the participants. This session would not have been the success it was without each and every one of you. We look forward to more opportunities for learning and collaboration in the future. Until then, stay inspired and stay committed to making a difference. So thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for this session. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.